Without Marv in approximately between 7 and 10 minutes without Marv. On behalf of our entire community, we want to express our deepest condolences of disastrous, double tragedy to the Lieberman family, one of our first friends here in the White Lake Estates, the patriarch of the family, Dr. Moshe Morris Lieberman, who lost his wife. His son is here, Aaron HaKohen is here today, saying Kaddish for his mother, Billa Lieberman, and also for his sister, Moklem Yilachim Eschem, Pesach Shavei Tzimur Yishlam, may be covered amongst the martyrs in Zion in Jerusalem. A gentleman walked into a bank and he requested a loan for $5,000. So they asked him, they said they wanted to have collateral security to grant the loan immediately. And so he said, well, I have my Rolls Royce out in the front of the bank, and here's the keys to the Rolls Royce. So they went out, put the keys in the car, started up, drove it into the basement of the bank, and they gave him the $5,000. He said he told me he has to take a business trip, and he'll repay it in 4 weeks. So they gave him the $5,000, put the car in the underground garage of the bank, and he was off. 1 month later, to the day, he came back, and he said he wants to pay off his loan. It's matured, the time came. So he said that's $5,000, and the interest was $14.51. So he paid them the $5,000 and $14.51, and they asked me, we want to ask you something. We don't understand. We checked you out, and you're a multi-millionaire. Why in the world did you come to us to take a loan for $5,000? He says, where else in the world, in Manhattan, can I get a bargain like that to park a car for a month for $14.51? So where in the world could you get a bargain like this to come here, where a gentleman who we asked him to come to me, he climbs down from a roof, where another gentleman who just came running from Mount Sinai from seeing his wife, another one, his wife woke him up, and he thanked me for coming. Where are you going to get a bargain like that anywhere except here right in White Lake? On Shabbos, we mentioned the Mishnah about Loi HaKapton Malamed. The qualifications, besides a degree as a pedagogue and an education, Loi HaKapton Malamed, a virtue that a teacher must possess. Love. He must feel that the child is like he's part of his family. He has to have the patience, like a tati and a mommy have patience for their own child. You have to have patience for a student. Patience and love and caring. You can't be short-tempered. There was the dean of one of the largest, or one of the largest yeshivas in the world, the Saul Quinn, who passed away about not quite 2 years ago. So at his funeral, his son-in-law said, my beloved father-in-law, he left one last request. There should be no eulogies, just that to mention his name, that being an educator, being involved with educating and the future of boys and young men for 50 years, he says it's unavoidable that somewhere along the line I made some decision which affected the future of a young man, and in his name he said we should please ask from everyone, if in any way he did something of that nature, that you should please forgive him. He leaving this world, asked that he should be forgiven. There was the famous yeshiva Brandish Yeshiva in Mochana Wasser, that spiritual powerhouse, Mochana Wasserman. So when they had the teachers' meetings, on all the staff would meet, so the students were anxious to hear exactly what went on in the meeting, who are they discussing, who are the troublemakers, which of the students were the problem. They weren't discussing the students. They were discussing the teachers, the rabbis, the lecturers were discussing themselves. Each one said, my goodness, I have so many shortcomings. I'm missing this. This I really didn't address the student properly. This I should have had more insight. This I should have. Each one found some sort of shot to criticize themselves, to reprimand themselves. Mishnah also mentioned that we shouldn't set ourselves up as arrogant judges. You know, we major in the minor things. We shouldn't set ourselves as arrogant judges, which are minor holidays, which are minor misses, which are major misses. And we think that we can sweep them aside. It's not that important. The Dvar Torah tells a very, very, very clever parable. It says in the Torah, it says that the commandments, the 613 commandments that were given to us, lo yisifu, lo yishigru imenu. We shouldn't add to the mitzvah, and we shouldn't detract, because simply by detracting, we can understand. That means that you're not, that you have to be told that you shouldn't detract, because then you're not fulfilling the mitzvah. But what could be wrong with adding to the mitzvah? What's wrong with adding to the mitzvah? Simply, basically, that seems to reflect our thinking that the commandments, the Torah that was given us on Mount Sinai, it needs perfection. The Almighty gave it to us in such a form, and with all of its principles, it can be corrected somewhat. That philosophy is very wrong. It doesn't need any. You don't have to add to it. The way it was given, that's how you have to preserve it. But the Dvar Torah tells a very clever morsel. He said about adding to the mitzvahs. He says a man one time came to his neighbor and he said to him, I'm short. My wife is cooking some, and she needs another spoon to do some in the kitchen to make a recipe, mix something. So I'll let him. So, why not? He takes out and he lets him have the spoon. He comes back 2 days later. He says to him, Mazel Tov, the lefel got a lefel. The spoon gave birth to another one. He says, here's two of them. Looks at him like I'm a shigner, but like a Gedali says, I'm a git memben, you know. So he took the two spoons, he put them in the body. Go argue with him. A week later, he comes and he says, can I? We need a pot, a tepel. All right. So he doesn't hesitate. Gives him the pot. Comes back a few days later. He says, Mazel Tov, the tepel got a tepel. So I've done some time shaking if something that's not all there. What are you going to go argue with him? Say to him. A week later or some time later, he comes. He says he's having a very important guest, and he wants to make a very good impression on him. So could he maybe he needs a leichter, a candelabra. He wants to loan for the evening, a silver candelabra, something nice. So he didn't hesitate. He rushed. He felt, what the other time he just gained another pot, but here he'll really, for this Michiganer, he'll really profit from it. He's going to get another leichter. He'll probably come tell him that he gave birth to another leichter, another candelabra. He quickly gives it to him. He said, take it. A day passes, and 2 days, and a week, and he doesn't want to act like ungrateful or be a chazer about it. So he hesitates to go ask for his leichter, for his candelabra, but he's a little bit uneasy. It's a very expensive item that he's let him have. So what is he going to do? You know, he can't just, he feels uneasy. So he decides, he comes up with the idea that he'll pretend like he's passing the neighborhood and knock on the door and he'll tell him, you know, I'll save you the trip. Knocks on the door, he said, Moshe, he said, how are you? He said, you know, I was just passing by. I figure I'll save you the trip of coming to bring back the candelabra. He says, so you can give it me, I'll take it back. He says, oh, take a seat. He says, son. He says, you know, I didn't want to be a bearer of bad tidings. The candelabra went into childbirth and it died. So he gets here, he's outraged. He's a Michiganer. Who ever heard of a candelabra dying, giving birth and dying? He said, Rebbe, excuse me. If a level can have a level, and a temple can have a temple, so a candelabra can die in childbirth also. So the Gemara says the same thing. If we think we can take it in our hands and do what we want with the mitzvah, we think we can add to it, we can change it, we can modify it, so we can, the mitzvah will die altogether. You have to do the mitzvah exactly what it begins. Chalani ben Akashia, Omer, Rotzo, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Zaki says Yisrael, the Tikal Chibla Torah Mitzvah, Shinamar Adonai Chavetz Manchikoi, Yadu Torah V'Yadu.